Have you ever noticed something strange? You finally get a free evening. No deadlines. No responsibilities. Nothing urgent. And yet, you can't fully relax. You open Netflix. You scroll your phone. You lie in bed. But somewhere in the background, there's a voice. A quiet discomfort. You should be doing something. You're wasting time. You're falling behind. And the strange part is that you're tired. Sometimes completely exhausted. Yet resting still feels wrong. Why? Because for many people, rest doesn't feel like rest. It feels like guilt. And that guilt often has very little to do with laziness. In fact, the people who struggle most with resting are often the people who push themselves the hardest. The people who always try to stay useful. The people who feel responsible. The people who rarely stop. On the surface, it looks like a productivity problem. But underneath, it's usually something deeper. A self-worth problem. Many of us grow up receiving praise when we achieve something. Good grades. Good performance. Being helpful. Being reliable. Being productive. Over time, the brain starts connecting two things that were never supposed to be connected. Achievement. And worth. Psychologists sometimes call this achievement-contingent self-worth. A mindset where your value feels dependent on what you accomplish. When this happens, productivity stops being just something you do. It becomes something you are. And that's where the problem begins. Because if your brain believes productivity equals worth, then resting starts to feel dangerous. Not physically dangerous. Emotionally dangerous. Imagine a security guard who's been told for years that danger is everywhere. Eventually, he starts sounding the alarm even when nothing is wrong. Your brain can do something similar. If productivity became your source of safety, control, or validation, then doing nothing can trigger anxiety. Not because rest is bad, but because your brain interprets rest as a loss of safety. That's why some people feel guilty on vacation. Guilty on weekends. Guilty while watching a movie. Guilty while taking a nap. They're not fighting laziness. They're fighting a belief. The belief that they must constantly earn their right to exist comfortably. And here's the contradiction. The more guilty you feel about resting, the less restorative your rest becomes. Your body is on the couch, but your mind is still working. Still calculating. Still worrying. Still trying to prove something. Research and clinical psychologists repeatedly point out that rest isn't the opposite of productivity. It's part of sustainable productivity. Without recovery, people become more vulnerable to burnout, anxiety, and cognitive fatigue. So what changes this? Not forcing yourself to relax. Not pretending you don't care. But recognizing one simple truth. Rest is not a reward for being productive enough. It's a biological requirement. Just like sleep. Just like breathing. Just like food. You don't earn sleep. You need sleep. Rest works the same way. And maybe the real goal isn't learning how to do more. Maybe it's learning that your value doesn't disappear the moment you stop doing. Because if your worth only exists when you're producing something, you'll never truly feel at peace. There will always be one more task. One more goal. One more thing to prove. But when you stop treating productivity like a measure of your value, something unexpected happens. Rest stops feeling like failure. And starts feeling like what it was always supposed to be. Recovery. Not because you've earned it. Because you're human.